Hi everyone, welcome to another of our Zoom catch-ups, and this time we've gone straight to the top. We thought with everything going on, we better get Neil Dalrymple, the Bowls Australia CEO, on board to give us a bit of a rundown of what's going on out there at the moment. How are you, Neil?
Good, thanks, Clive. How are you?
Yeah, very well, very well. Still challenging times, mate, but there's a bit of a light emerging at the end of the tunnel now. Give us a bit of insight as to some of the discussions that have been going on.
Sure. And look, it probably started last Friday was when the National Cabinet met. And certainly once that federal announcement came out, I think that was the trigger for a number of states and territories to certainly start to relieve their restrictions. And again, that's we're talking to the more broader community, which clearly includes bowls and bowling clubs. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel. You can see now that a number of the states and territories are starting to move to a different phase, and it's interesting. I think this is part of the confusion. We've got stages, we've got steps, we've got phases. But I think the clear point is we're in a transition phase at the moment, and this means that we are relieving some of the restrictions around bowls, meaning that people can actually get out and have a bowl of some sort, whether that's a roll up or a social bowl. Obviously, competitions and spectators, we're not at that stage yet. So, but look, if we continue to do the right thing as a sport, as a community, then and what I've certainly the insights that I've received, very much it's around each block of whether that's a 3-week or 4-week block. If we can contain the virus, obviously stop the spread, then clearly the governments will continue to relieve those restrictions, and more things will become open for us, and that means more people playing bowls, and hopefully clubs opening their doors as they are now doing in some states, meaning that they can serve some food, some drinks on a modified basis.
So I guess, Bowls Australia has been quite proactive in keeping that information available to everyone on the Bowls Australia website. But I guess the focus shifts a little bit now to watching what the states are doing in their individual positions.
Yep, and look, we certainly appreciate that. I mean, we're trying to certainly take the lead and provide solid information for the bowling community, but also reflecting exactly what's going on in each state and territory. And each state and territory bowls association certainly has to abide by their own local state government authorities, and that could be a health department, sport and recreation, the office of liquor and gaming in some of those states too. So yeah, look, it can be quite complex and can be sometimes confusing for bowlers out there. But again, if we get and our state and territory associations have been fantastic in getting information out quickly as it comes into their lap, and I think bowlers through social networks and platforms, through our websites, that information is being relayed as quickly as it comes to hand, and I think that's good. So at least it gives some sort of guidance and certainty to bowlers.
I think one of the keys there is the patience of some people. We see these announcements made often on weekends by the governments, and then straight away everyone's after the information that means to bowls. Well, sometimes that can take a couple of days just to bring together, can't it?
Absolutely. And I mean, I think it was interesting last week when as I said, the National Cabinet met and Scott Morrison made his announcement. Some states, and we saw it watching this very closely last weekend. I mean, on Saturday, some state governments actually issued their guidelines and the phased approach with specific dates when their restrictions were going to be relieved. They must have had it almost ready, ready to go. That this, I mean, they of course they're on the inside, so they certainly have some inside knowledge. But so then straight away that kind of forces our hand as a sporting organisation to say, okay, now the state government's done this. What does this mean for bowls specifically? So, and I think that's part of the interpretation of these guidelines for sporting organisations. And the one that obviously comes up for bowls is how many people can you have on a green? And I mean, the number at the moment is 10, is up to 10, and again that will be relieved and will be relieved in some states and territories over the next couple of weeks.
All right. Now, Bowls Australia has done a survey of clubs to try and I guess, understand exactly what clubs are going through at the moment. It's quite a strong response to that survey.
Yep, I think we had close to 500 clubs respond out of over 1,800 clubs. So that's still it's a significant response. And again, it's a difficult time for a lot of clubs in terms of whether they've got paid staff or they're looked after by volunteers. I mean, we're all it's a strange time to work in, and so getting that response was fantastic, and it's helped to guide us with what can we do as peak bodies, both as a national body and certainly state and territory associations. How can we support clubs going forward, understanding what they've been through, understanding the possible financial consequences that this pandemic has caused, and how can we help them, I suppose, recover, rejuvenate, and come out better on the other side. So, yeah, certainly some of the ideas. We've got a plan that we're putting together, Clive, at the moment, the COVID-19 response plan. We're really keen to do some marketing once we can get more people on the green. So do some more national marketing about trying to encourage not only the existing bowlers to get back to their clubs, but obviously encourage new bowlers to come down and play. So once social bowls and barefoot bowls is allowed, then certainly we'll be looking to do that over the period, probably closer to September sometime, as we lead into some of the summer states, summer time for the southern states. So there's some opportunities that we'll look to capitalise on there.
As people are hungry, looking for something to do, we want them to choose bowls, don't we, Neil?
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, there's other news around the place in terms of a couple of events that are going to be staged at the end of the year.
Yeah, look, we had, as some people may know, the Nationals was to be a new event that was going to be staged in October. Unfortunately, we had to cancel that event as a large event, a large gathering of bowlers that were going to come together. But within that event, the Australian Championships and the Champion of Champions were two of the events that were part of the Nationals. We feel we're going to have a go at trying to run those in early December this year. That gives each of the states and territories time, hopefully, to run their qualifying events, and we think it would be a good signal for the bowls community, given that hopefully they'll be back by then. They'll have won and won their events within their state. Then this gives them something to look forward to participate in a national event. So we're looking to run it in Victoria, in either Victoria or New South Wales, Clive. I suppose we're trying to make it as easy as possible for those participants to come and travel to a major centre. We'll look to try and run them in the metropolitan areas, predominantly. I mean, depending on what interest comes back, and just make it as cost effective as possible for all involved to do that. And I'm sure that there'll be clubs out there, hopefully, that they'll put their hand up to run these events, and I'm sure the participants will be looking forward to it, and it'll be quite exciting. It'll probably be one of the first national events that will come back onto the calendar.
So, of course, if you're a club out there that is interested in hosting that event, head to bowls.com.au and you can find all the details there of how you can put your hand up and look to host one of those magnificent, prestigious events. Neil, it seems so long ago now, but the fires that ravaged through Australia at the start of the year, to those affected, it probably doesn't seem that long ago, but everything that's gone on. There's some good news, I guess, to come out of that with the Bowls Disaster Relief Fund putting some funds up.
Yes, Clive, and we've been it's been very heartening that not only individuals, a number of bowls clubs, even we've had some donations from overseas. So some people in Scotland actually heard about the fires, obviously over Christmas period and the summer just gone, and have donated to our BA Disaster Relief Fund. So, I mean, it's very pleasing, and we've called for pleasing that they've donated, but we've also at the same time we've called for applications from those clubs that have been impacted, and we've recently announced 6 clubs that have received some funding from that fund, and we're really pleased to be able to give some money back to those clubs to help them get off the ground and recover from those devastating fires. And obviously with the COVID-19 pandemic, I mean, there's been a double barrel for some of those clubs. So hopefully, the small amount of money that we've been able to allocate will be used and put to good stead and help those clubs to recover. And look, we certainly thank a number of people for donating. In particular, the Dandenong Club in Melbourne, at the recent BPL back in February, did put together a package of, I suppose, fundraising, and managed to donate over $4,500 to the disaster relief. And that involved the players are led by Barry Lester in terms of touches and donating for the number of touches. So together with the Bowls Club themselves, a very generous donation amongst a number of other people too. So yeah, it's a pleasing thing in quite a sad time, a sad occasion for those clubs. But yeah, it's as I say, hopefully that'll be help them get back on their feet.
Of course, I've got the 6 clubs here in front of me: Adelong, Corryong, Lake Conjola, Malakuta, Pandana, and Tomakin are the clubs that have been announced as
Good pronunciation.
Yeah, I think hopefully I got all those correct.
I'm sure someone will pick you up.
So yeah, look, as you say, it's a small amount that goes to them to help them get back on their feet. But in that situation, every little bit helps, and wherever they can find some funds, well, they're going to be put to good use.
Absolutely.
And of course, we don't forget that the Bowls Disaster Relief Fund is available throughout the year for donations and for applications to be able to get funding when those, unfortunately, when those natural disasters and so forth happen.
Yes, and I suppose we'll be looking at in terms of in this time and going forward about perhaps how this fund can respond to some of the, I suppose, the circumstances that will probably hit a number of our bowling clubs during this time. So that's probably stay tuned on that particular topic. I mean, we are looking to lobby the federal government and certainly work closely to see whether there might be some funding opportunities, whether there's more grants programs that the federal government might make available. So I know that many of the state governments have been quite generous and are certainly making funds available to those clubs that have been impacted by the COVID-19. So yeah, stay tuned on that one.
All right. To finish off on a personal note, Neil, I know you love your sport, your cricket and your bowls and so forth. You're based in Victoria. Have you had the opportunity to get back out there yet and partake?
Well, I'm actually playing golf this week, Clive.
Oh, right.
So it's, I mean, as some people might know, we are working at 80% at the moment. So that means a day off. And so Friday, I mean, there's obviously been a lot of commentary around getting back on the golf courses. And in Victoria, it's a very popular sport. And there's a lot of commentary on social media and in the mainstream media about golf being open again. So many people are flooded back onto golf courses. And so hopefully we'll see the same thing with bowls in the coming weeks and months. And I think golfers and bowlers, they're very passionate sports people. So look forward to it. And I certainly also look forward to getting back on having a roll too. I've got my new Collingwood bowls, my black and white bowls. So I can't wait to give them a bit of a run.
Fantastic. All right, Neil. Well, look, thank you very much for joining us, giving us a bit of insight as to what's going on out there. And hopefully it's not too long before we see more and more of these restrictions lifted. And, of course, the key being everyone stays safe.
Yep. Cheers, Clive. Thanks for your time. And yes, I reiterate that advice that you just gave, and best wishes to everyone. And again, if you're feeling not 100%, then certainly don't rush down to the Bowls Club and get yourself well. And we look forward to getting more people out on the green in the weeks and months to come. Thanks.
Thanks, Neil.